everyone, my name is Andrew Bosher, and today I want to show you how to make a steezy, spaced out lead using the Thor synthesizer in Reason. The track that you just heard was something I just made for this tutorial real quick, and I want to show you guys how to make that type of sound from scratch. So let's get started. I do already have a new project open, and for time's sake I did copy and paste the notes from the previous project over to here. And in my rack I do have a combinator already created, so just right click and create a combinator. And in the combinator, let's right click and create an instance of Thor. Click to show the programmer, and right click to make sure to reset the device or initialize the patch depending on what version of Reason you're using. First and foremost, I just need to let you know that this isn't necessarily the right or wrong way to achieve this type of sound, but it is a good building block to get started. So in the polyphony section here, this is completely up to preference. If you want to stack notes into a chord for this type of effect, you can, and you can make it thicker. For this particular tutorial, I'm just going to use one note, and so I'm basically just going to leave this alone. It doesn't really matter here. In the first oscillator section here, let's change it from an analog oscillator to a wavetable oscillator. Change the octave to 2, and change the table from basic analog to synced sine, which is the second option down on the list. Change the position to about 115, and remember, you can always hold shift and click and drag to hone in on specific frequencies and numbers. And then make sure that it's activated to the first filter here. Next, let's click to activate the second oscillator to filter 1, and let's create another wavetable oscillator for the second oscillator. Change this one to octave 3, and let's also change it to a synced sine once again. Change the position to about 111 this time, and we're pretty much set as far as the oscillators are concerned, so we can move on to the filters. So for the first low pass filter, let's change it to a comb filter. Let's change, or just make sure that the polarity is at positive. Let's change the frequency to 7.62 kilohertz and change the resonance to about 48. And again, completely up to preference. I highly recommend messing with all of these parameters to achieve different types of sounds. It's very versatile. Next, we'll go to the filter envelope 1 amount. We will change this to about 115 so that the filter envelope affects the filter quite a bit. Alright, now let's go to the second filter section here and make sure to click this button here, Shaper to filter 2, and then filter 2 to amplifier enable. That way these two oscillators will go through the comb filter, through the shaper, which is deactivated, and then back through another filter here, so which means we don't need to activate these oscillators here. Make this a low pass filter, and let's change the frequency to about 387 Hertz. The filter envelope amount is 116 here, so it's just one above the amount for the first filter. The resonance stays at 0, and you can keep it at 24 type 2. Now, we're going to go to the third filter section here, and we're going to create a state variable filter. We're going to change the mode to high pass 12, and make sure to turn down all of these knobs here to 0. We don't want the filter to be affected by the filter envelope at all. This is more or less just a master filter for the entire sound. We're going to change this frequency to about 636. That way all the lower muddy frequencies and the lower mids are essentially cut out. And at that point we're pretty much set as far as the filters are concerned. If we played it out, this is what it sounds like. So it's really not exactly what we're looking for, but it does afford an opportunity to create any sort of alarm sound, any klaxon. You can do a lot with just that already. So let's go to the filter envelope section here. Let's change the attack to about 870 milliseconds. That way it'll be a second or a little bit less than a second before the sound actually forms. In the decay section here, let's change it to about 3.33 seconds. The sustain will be about negative 29.5 decibels. and the filter envelope release will be at about 1.50 seconds. And again, completely up to preference. When it comes to the amp envelope, I like to turn up the sustain and decay so that there is no volume lost over time when I trigger a note. And the attack I like to raise just a little bit so it doesn't click at the beginning. Same thing with the release, but again, completely up to preference. So now, if we listen to it again, this is what we have. It has a little more motion thanks to the filter envelope, but we're going to give it a lot more motion in the modulation matrix here. So, in the first box in the source, select filter envelope, set it to -100, and set the destination to oscillator 1's position. That way the filter envelope will affect this knob here and start to modulate the sound and make it move more. Second box, go to filter envelope, -100 to oscillator 2's position. That way they're in sync and they're more or less doing the same thing, but since they're set at different parameters to begin with, they're going to sound different. In the third box, let's make sure to set the mod envelope to 53, and we're going to make the destination oscillator 1's pitch. When it comes to the mod envelope, the timing, this is completely up to you. You can make this however you want. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm simply just going to turn on tempo sync and I'm going to leave it alone at 2/4, and I'm going to leave the attack at 0. So that means that the pitch is going down and it's never coming up. When I trigger a note, of course. Okay, in the fourth box, we're going to make a mod envelope 53, again, to oscillator 2's pitch, so that again, that they're in sync. The next box, we're going to go up to the top, we're going to go to voice key and note full range, -62, and we're going to make this to filter envelope attack. So that basically means wherever I play the note on the keyboard, on the piano roll, the filter envelope attack will be different, either shorter or longer, depending on where I play the notes. Since it's reversed, technically it will be a shorter attack with lower notes and a higher attack with higher notes. But again, completely up to preference. So let's take a listen to it now. We're starting to hear a much spacier sound and a lot more versatility and movement happening. So at this point, the synth itself is pretty much done. Now it's just a matter of creating other effects on top of it to really achieve the sound that you want. So in this case, I would recommend creating a simple RB7000 reverb. And I'm just going to set these parameters pretty randomly. I'm going to turn the diffusion down so it's a little more fuzzy. And I'm not going to have it be too damped, maybe at about 46. I'm going to turn the high EQ pretty much all the way up so it really gets the full effect of the sound through the reverb. But if you just want specific parts of the reverb to come through, then you can always turn this down. Completely up to you. So let's listen to it now. And as you can hear, we have achieved a type of alien type wavetable sound, more spaced out lead, and it's really up to you how you decide to use this. So for example, one thing you could do is you can turn up the filter 1 frequency, you can turn up the filter 2 frequency, you can turn down the resonance. You can pretty much modulate any sort of parameter here to get any type of sound with this type of space sound. And as you can hear, it all depends on how you use the synth that really makes it pop. And there you have it. This is a completed synth, a completed patch. It is a spaced out alien type synth. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save the combinator here as a patch. I'm going to make it ABB spaced out tutorial, and I will make it available to you guys to download for free. And I just have to say thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I hope you learned something. If you have any comments, feedbacks, concern, anything, please let me know, and I would be more than happy to talk to you about it. But please show me what you guys did with this patch. Show me what you're working with, and I really do appreciate it again for tuning in. We're all students in this, so please let me know how you improved upon it, and I just hope everybody enjoyed it, and thank you so much for watching. See you next time.